Good morning, and thank you for joining us on today's webinar topic, COVID Trakker, Complete Contact Tracing System. My name is James Collins, and I'm the Senior Director of Business Development at CSBA, and I'll be facilitating today's webinar. At this time, I would like to introduce our presenters for today's discussion, Tom Ye, co-founder of COVID Trakker, and Jim Higa, CEO, Biopharm Technologies, and COVID Trakker, Director of Education. At this time, I will turn it over to our first presenter, Tom.
To introduce you our products. A way of a background by myself, I'm a college dropout from UC Berkeley and started a couple of businesses afterwards and got very lucky. My primary, what fills up my days, I serve on different nonprofit boards and university trustee boards to give back to the community. And from time to time, I am a geek and I get to come up with very interesting product that helps serve the community. And this is our solution to solving the COVID crisis. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, Tom. My name is Jim Higa. As James has alluded to, I'm basically in food security. I'm also a founder of a company that actually makes vaccines, propagation of vaccines. So I'm very understanding of how this kind of viruses can infect the population. So we're very concerned and we love to help out the community. How does this work? If I may, can I start, Tom?
Yeah, go for it.
So what will living with COVID look like within the schools? Yes, social distancing, mask, stopping the spread, stop the spread. Solution is COVID tracing. COVID Trakker underlines a message is kids safe. For us, respond quickly. Because why? Kids matter.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about breaking the chain of infection, right? So what we wanted to do is prevent school closure and reduce costly infection-related cost. We want to minimize the school administration's liability because all the interruption, disturbances, and potentially long-term health impacts are ultimately going to cause some tremendous liabilities. And we also have tremendous features built in to protect the privacy of everyone that's involved. So
Tom, what are the key takeaways?
Well, sure. I mean, really the bottom line is the key takeaways are the follows, right? We want to keep students, teachers, and employees safe. And we wanted to avoid school closures. We want to protect administration from liability. And the best part is that all this is no cost to the school. We are completely covered under the federal funding. So you can literally have the whole system in place to protect your entity from any future liability and keep your organization moving forward.
So for each of the school districts to engage in this, no cost at all, 100%, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And we can help with that entire process. And all they need to do is reach out to us. We'll put together the customized solution for them. And all of these will be paid for with the federal funding.
So we were talking about the objectives, right? We have a problem, whether it's COVID-19 or the bird flu that's approaching us, right? According to the latest news, to stopping the school closures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the solution as virus tracker or a COVID tracker, which actually tracing system for each of the students. But how difficult is it, Tom? Is it real difficult to have this implementation?
Yeah, I mean, the implementation is actually extremely easy to use. And this is all built into the part of overall design. Literally, it could be built into a process that the school currently use today as part of their security protocol. And it is literally as easy as 1, 2, 3. Right?
Fantastic. I know that about the transmission rate of any of the diseases, right? whether it's the bird flu that's upon us, measles, just the regular annual flu itself. How does this work? How does COVID Tracker stop the contagion?
It's not very simply what it does. The COVID tracing solution that we have, it identifies the point of exposure, including the specific durations when it is called upon, and literally in less than 5 seconds at the press of a button, the administrator or people who are involved will be able to identify who is exposed and what object are exposed. And from that point on forward, the institution will be able to go in and isolate that contagion. So, and you're absolutely correct. I mean, any infectious disease is always about stopping and breaking that chain of infection, and COVID Tracker exactly allows the entity to be able to do that precisely.
I think I saw this before. I think I saw this in the movie Contagion. That's what they talked about too. Stopping it right there, right? So
no doubt. If they have this, they
didn't.
We have no need for
that.
that.
They didn't have it. So why is contact tracing critical?
Yeah.
Because I know what they did there. They were calling people to find out who was infected.
Yeah, and this really goes down to the fundamental problem of contact tracing. The existing system relies on humans. It relies on extensive interviews, which takes tremendous amount of time and is very highly inaccurate, right? And if an outbreak occurs and the virus spread is not tackled immediately, the entire school is shut down. So, however, on the flip side of it, if you are able to track that and know the exact transmission and exposure point, this could be actually stopped very easily and very logically with no guessing. So there will be no confusion in the implementation process because we have real data.
So Tom, you're saying that COVID Tracker, or the tracking system, the key takeaway is it tackles the problem immediately, instantaneously. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely, right? Even with the current solution for COVID, and this will be applicable to all the other future infectious disease. After someone is tested positive, they would have been or showing symptoms of COVID in this case, they would have been contagious for days prior. So, and that is what the fundamental problem is, and knowing who the other people and object that they have passed on the disease to, right now it's completely a guess. And what we do here is really taking the guess out of the equation, and then give people precise data to tackle the issue and really stop it right at their track.
And Tom, I really liked what you had here about the consequences of not tackling it immediately, right? You talked about these certain points. You want to elaborate it some more, what these mean?
Well, as everyone who's listened to this podcast probably knows, is that school shutdown is extremely costly, right? I mean, beyond the safety aspect, which is the most important. I mean, we're dealing with people's lives here, really people's lives here. I mean, today it may be COVID, tomorrow it may be somebody else. But beyond that, it interrupts learning. It causes rise in dropout rates, and parents unprepared and distant homeschooling, which cause a domino effect in our society. It's challenging creating, maintaining, improving distance learning, right? And there's gap in childcare. I mean, but most of all, it's really about safety, and it's really important for organization to take care of people that are coming in and out of their facility, especially in a school setting.
And I like the way you have the first portion here, high economic cost, right? Because they don't have continuity. If they don't have the kids in school, if you have two working parents, two people work on these challenge economic times, you need continuity and the kids to be in school. This is what you're talking about. Is that correct?
Oh, Absolutely, right? I mean, continuity, also predictability, right? So with the current system, how people are does it, they do a blank communication to all potential parties, but it's all a guessing game. So what they essentially have done in that process is making it extremely chaotic and unpredictable, right? So if they have COVID tracker system in their schools, they will be able to precisely identify who's exposed and what locations exposed and isolate them properly. But the biggest benefit of that is also allowing the people who have not exposed to continue to live their normal lives. And in addition to that, it also allows the janitorial or disinfection cleaning staff to focus solely on the area where this exposure has occurred. And that, I think that's the main difference, right?
I think that's great. It's unsafe, right? For others, especially, I would say it's unsafe for the teachers. There's not enough teachers out there. And our teachers of the school system are, a lot of them are the vulnerable ones, right? So we need to keep the teachers safe.
No doubt. And then everybody is shooting blind here, right? So the fact that we give people predictability, consistency with accurate data, I think it takes a lot of worries out of people's mind. And they also help us identify false positives. Let's say someone was feeling uncomfortable, and we will be able to very easily know whether that person has been exposed to COVID or not, or to be able to say, hey, that's not caused by this particular incident. And I think that's also very valuable for the school as well.
And Tom, you had mentioned about the cost structure, about school employees and the teachers. I don't know what their average salaries are or anything like that, but this is assuming that is, what are the tangible costs? Is that correct? Is that what you're trying to project here?
Yeah, the cost is very costly. I mean, when someone gets sick, I mean, just the testing alone, it ranges from $50 to $2,300. The cost has come down, but still, there's a cost to the test itself and also going to different locations, right? And even if you buy the test kits at Costco, it's $159. And with somebody with symptoms of COVID, and this was obviously the data given by the healthcare professionals, the typical average stay is 5 days. So at $25,000 per day, that's $125,000 that someone has to pay for when they have symptoms. And if they're without the symptoms, we're talking about the 14 days quarantine and many other associated costs.
So Tom, you gave a great example of a virus or COVID-19 school shutdown. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, as I shared before, I mean, this is very, very direct. Right? It is very costly for any institution, including a school, to have a shutdown, right? And what we have detailed example here is a 50-employee organization, but in a school setting, this will be a very, very small schools with, you would have students, staff, administration staff, and so forth. So what we should be really looking at is really the total population. So even for 50 total population, including student, institution, or organization, without COVID tracker, if there's an incident, this will easily cost them $210,000. You have to get them to get tested, salaries, and so forth. But with COVID tracker, you will be able to, instead of quarantining all of the occupants, you will be able to identify, the specific individuals and be able to target them appropriately. Again, reducing the cost to a lot lower number of 13,000. This is a hypothetical 50 people organization. Again, here's an additional extension. It's not just that cost alone. Without COVID tracker, the cost of hospitalization, high cost of additional proliferation, loss of morale, employee goodwill, and reputational damage. I mean, it's going to cost additional $320,000 for that same institution. And if there's COVID tracker, it will be a lot less because there will be no loss of employee goodwill, no loss of morale, no loss of reputational damage, because we know precisely where the exposure points are, and it would give people a lot more peace of mind, right? And then ultimately that drives lower costs also.
And I see that you gave an example of just a company that had similar problems with COVID.
Right.
Can you explain this?
Yeah, the cost of a shutdown is severe. I mean, these are some of the case studies that was in the news. So what the example we have here is, for Foster Farms, 1,400 employees were sent home, and there were, and then there was tests given to all the employees, and you had to deep cleaning the facility based on 10 cents per square foot. So the estimated cost is $3.5 million, and only less than 1% was positive after they tested the whole scenario. And on the next scenario, next slide, there's another organization, Ford. The same thing happened to them also. There was 58, they had to test 5,800 plus 4,400 employees. And then they have to send them home for 1 day, and they have to deep clean the facility. That cost them an estimated, $23 million. But anyway, next slide, please. The cost is very severe. And when it comes to the schools, it's not just the economic costs, but you're causing tremendous disruption to the teachers and also to the students.
So going back, be more specific about breaking the chain of infection. Can you explain a little bit more with this slide that you made?
Yeah, I mean, the key about this whole control process is really breaking that chain. Any kind of infectious disease, operate on the log and, an exponential path. So, anytime when you can identify the exposure, fully isolate them, that's going to reduce it tremendously. Right? In the school situation, the school administration will be able to completely contain that exposure and be able to isolate that, and therefore reducing costs, reducing liability, and improving outcomes.
And this gives a simple example I saw that you have created. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4 points. You want to explain what the 4 points are?
I mean, COVID Trakker is extremely easy to use, right? So basically, all people need to do is pick up the tag at the entrance and then just wear it. It's just like a temporary badge. And then when they leave, they just drop it off at the front desk. And then that's all there is to it. And then and in most cases, when nothing happens, you would just stay operating in the background. When there's a positive exposure, then the administration will easily run a report. And in 5 seconds, they will be able to identify the point of exposure, properly isolate the people who has been exposed, as well as properly identify the locations and or object that need to be sanitized.
So it's a turnkey system, just as easy as saying 1, 2, 3. And will the staff at the schools be able to institute this?
Absolutely. I mean, most chances are they're probably already instituting some kind of system right now, not for COVID tracking, but some kind of check-in and check-out process at the reception desk. I would imagine for the safety of the school and their campus, they don't have an open campus where people can walk in and out freely. And a COVID tracker in those cases would be implemented at the place where the control point where people goes in and out at the reception desk, for example. So this would not require a lot of behavior change. This would just be like a temporary badge that people pick up when they walk into the facility.
I really like the third point you had mentioned. The threat analysis will report how far and how many students came in contact with the infected person. You want to go into that a little bit more? What does that mean?
Yeah, so what this tag does is it's a really dumb tag, and what they do is they just constantly communicate with each other, and to detect the relative distance with each other, and from that, if an incident has been reported, then we run a report and we will be able to know who is exposed and who's not with precision.
So that means the administrator can send the information to the parents if they want, to the teachers. They're in control. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's how the whole system is designed. It's totally anonymous. All data is encrypted. And we, again, we can selectively and also manipulate data or to organize the information in a way that will be accordance whatever the school policy is. So here are some examples.
Right?
Yeah, here's some example how to report. Again, it's more geeky in that regard. You want to go to the next slide? There's different ways to identify the data and to pull the data. Here are different dot diagrams showing, how all objects, all persons are interacting and where the links are. Go ahead, next slide. So here we highlight the COVID tracker equipment. It's very simple. The picture on the left shows the tag. It's about the size of half of the keychain. And obviously this is a plain model. It's designed to show you what it looks like, but the exterior could be customized with a school logo or with a school shape, Mickey Mouse, whatever the school desires.
You mentioned that the California School Board Association could put their logo right on there, right? Is that correct? For free. Did you say for free? No cost at all?
Yeah, we absolutely we can customize, provided that they could yeah, we can customize that. And this is sort of aligned with the mission. What we hear from the California School Board Association staff, they really want to make the school run better. They want to serve the community. They want to really creating a better environment for education. And the fundamental basis of education is safety, right? Allow students and teachers and staff, administration staff to come in and out, a safe place to teach rather than be a safe where disease proliferate.
And I really like the data storage up to 21 days because sometimes you don't know it, right? You go home and it's already 14 days. Then you find out, you come back and you tell the administrator, hey, Administrator James, I had COVID. What do you do then, right? You go, don't worry, we got you.
Yeah, I mean,
you start notifying other people.
That's right. So this is COVID. I mean, I know the name of the device is COVID Tracker, but what this is really targeting toward, it's not just COVID, right? COVID, right. I think from a societal evolution perspective is really a warning shot. What this is fully capable of is it really inoculates and protect the school from all future pandemics and all future infectious disease, whether it's hair lice, whether it's flu. This will cover it, and then this will give. I mean, who knows? The reality is, one thing, although we don't know what is coming, but one thing that's for certain is that different strands of flu, this infectious disease will be coming, and this will be the best defense toward that. If anything else, this will give us the ability to be able to identify how quickly they perpetuate, who and when and what. So by knowing that data, we will be able, the administrator will be able to act appropriately and do the right thing and protect the health and welfare of everyone on the facility.
And that's what it is, being able to be prepared and proactive rather than reactive.
That's right. I mean, all these are crises when these kind of things occurs. Right. So there's no shortcut. And then most of the progressive schools, the most progressive leaders, they would like to not just react to what happened, but really to do things, set things up ahead of time. So whatever hurt them in the past will never happen again, right? And I think this solution is really designed to do that. And plus, the federal funding is available to implement this system to the school for free. There's really no downside, but there's also tremendous liability if someone doesn't act. I mean, just imagine, right? If someone gets sick, I mean, the head of White House security, the leg was amputated because of COVID. I mean, just I can just imagine what do you say to the family of the people who are impacted? And if you ever go to the courtroom, I mean, what would the administrator be able to tell them if they have to testify? Oh, gee, I didn't do this to protect the welfare of the people that are coming into the building. I mean, that would definitely show up on the for when the device is readily available.
Right.
That would definitely show up on the headlines and be a front page of the newspaper, right? So, and
How proven is this technology? Because you're talking about a lot of school systems, right? There's 1,000 to 1,300 school systems, not including schools, right? How proven is this technology, and would it work for large masses?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this isn't built to scale. I mean, behind this is really 10 years of tremendous hard work from 30 industry leading hardware technology leaders, right? For Silicon Valley to Taiwan, and these are the people that build some of the most devices that we use today. These are the people behind the iPhones. These are people behind all the Android phones, and they're just really good at what they do. They're funded by the top hardware investors and leaders in the world. I mean, these are these are really proven, and it's ready to go. Basically, it's already been tested, it's ready to go. It's been implemented at many institutions. So far in Taiwan, it is new in the US, but it's been used everywhere. You want to go next slide?
And this is some of the places you have it in. We couldn't put your other 3 or 4 pages of that.
Yeah, this is not new. Like I said, the solution has been implemented in some of the most top premier organizations, especially in Taiwan. They've been used there, but there's no COVID to track anymore in Taiwan. Taiwan has been having 0 COVID instances for month. So, but again, what this does is this really is going to propel us into the future and going to keep our facilities safe. And give us the clear information that we need to protect ourselves.
And one of the, I guess, the teachers have mentioned about privacy, personal data, where they are. What is your response as in the tracking system?
Oh, this is perfectly designed. I mean, for that. I mean, what the alternative solution to track this would be a video camera system where you have video camera all around the school to be able to, and then even with that system by itself, you still need to have someone looking at the camera to look at the person-to-person distance, interactions, and so forth. And that's certainly, on the greater end of it. In this particular case, it's literally a dumb device, and all the data are encrypted, and everybody wears a device. And we have the ability to be able to design custom design access to whoever the party and whoever the policy is for the school institution, and who have access and so forth. So we literally would be able to set up the rules and the system to whatever works for the school. So
you're not really tracking everybody's complete movement. You're just tracking the connection with people.
That's right. All this does is track relative distance with the other tag. Again, this is a very dumb device, and it's a very focus on just doing that. So in this case, the administrator will have the ability to adapt and adjust the device to whether if it's their policy. And we can even have double access, triple access, we can have, multiple factors of authentication. So comparing to like your cell phone that everybody carries every day, this is truly literally like kindergarten versus, PhDs with postdocs, literally. I mean, the amount of data that's being used on the phones and that's being tracked on everybody's phone right now is just tremendous. And it is being tracked all the time, every time. But in this particular case, what we see most of the application around this is most of the things are actually not being accessed. Only when there's a positive incident of some kind, then they basically pull it up and then push a button, and then they just give them a readout, which is encrypted on which tag and which so and so are exposed, and then the school can decide who to disclose it to and how to take action at that point in time.
Right. School administrator have total control of this.
Absolutely total control, and we can set up the system
Right.
to give control to whoever has control, and how often they can access the data, and so forth. Again, the whole system, this is a dumb device, is solely designed to keep people safe, right? And then use a minimum intervention, and there's nothing that is more private, basically, than a system like this, versus having people install an app, run around their phone. I mean, this has that information basically in there. Its sole purpose is to perfect.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, all these privacy control mechanism, we can set it into it. It could be open source. Everybody can look at the code. And
so in other words, once they start to get away from the school interaction, it stops tracking.
There's no tracking. I mean, basically, once it goes out of the school environment, it doesn't work anymore. This only purpose is the tags are to communicate with each other and just to track distance.
Great.
And it's
I like that better. Nowadays, so many people are want to stop being tracked.
Yeah. This is really specifically targeted in a very targeted environment. This is not like your cell phone. When your cell phone, you're going everywhere, literally, you're being monitored. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So so it is the only, as this slide shows, it's the only solution of its kind to protect student, teachers, school staff, and avoid costly school closures from COVID-19. So the alternative is having someone call from the call center and interviewing people for hours who probably has imperfect memories on what happened and who they got exposed to. And especially now we're dealing with kids, right? How many kids really remembers who they play with, where they bump into on the playground, and so forth. So this solution is really designed, again, to protect the school, to protect people, eliminate liabilities from now into the future, and it's totally free. So what we love to talk to you, because this is our mission, because we see that the existing solutions on the market only solve part of the problem. What we would really like to do is be able to solve the whole problem, and we love to hear from you and figure out what kind of solution that we can provide to help prevent the proliferation of COVID, as well as any kind of infectious disease in the future.
So Tom, are there any questions that the teachers, administrators, or the parent, anybody, they can just email you at California Schools at covidtrakker.com. Is that correct? It'll go directly to you?
Yeah, it would be directed to our staff, obviously.
Our staff.
Yeah,
then, or that phone, 415-849-1689.
That's right.
Our staff will be also answering your call. So I guess anybody who has a question or want more details, please use the following email address and phone number, and our staff will 100% get back to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and also just in terms of the timeline wise, given that this is a semiconductor product, if there's any kind of questions or inquiries and so forth, or if you would like to make a reservation on the system, please don't do so soon, and understanding that there's a semiconductor shortage, right? So we would need to plan our capacity accordingly. We love to serve. Again, this is, we feel like it's the ultimate solution, but just the lead time may be a little bit constrained given the global semiconductor crisis, but we're here to serve, and the product is ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you to our presenters as well. Very informative. CSBA is dedicated to providing up-to-date resources to school board members. To view our recent webinars, be sure to check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/CSBA video. If you are interested in attending future CSBA webinars, please go to our website at www.csba.org/webinars to register for upcoming webinars. Many thanks to our presenters. With that, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.